All right, so we got a new cycle coming with Effective Fitness Training and some brand new tracks. The biggest difference you're gonna see is the main EFT track is now patrol ready, and then we have a level up from that called the hard charger track, and a level below that called the on-ramp track. The biggest difference you're gonna see between these three, these are like tiered, it's like a tiered system. If you're just new to fitness, you do the on-ramp track. If you're cruising along on EFT main already, or if you're new to EFT and you're looking at which track to join, most law enforcement officers would find a good home in the main EFT track, which is now called Patrol Ready. And then we have the hard charger track. The big difference between the three, between Patrol Ready and on-ramp, is on-ramp's gonna be lighter weights, sometimes easier exercises. So instead of doing a loaded goblet squat and a conditioning piece, it'll be air squats. So sometimes it'll be either lighter weight or go unloaded. So that's, again, for that on-ramp, it's just for someone new to fitness, a law enforcement officer new to fitness that's just getting into it. And the goal is to get them to the Patrol Ready. The difference between Patrol Ready and hard charger is gonna be, hard charger is gonna have heavier weights in the conditioning. So where it might be power cleans at 135, in Patrol Ready, it'll be power cleans at 155 in the hard charger. That's gonna be the big difference. There's no real way to scale it differently than that, because if we were to make conditioning longer in the hard charger with the intent of making it harder, then we're training a different attribute, we're training different energy systems, and if we want to train the energy systems properly, we got to stay in certain time frames. So the duration of conditioning is not going to change. The tactical bodybuilding is not going to somehow be heavier. We got to train within certain rep ranges to failure or near failure. The strength work is going to be based on you, so that's not something that's going to change at all. Maybe in the future, hard charger will have more strength volume. But again, the biggest difference is going to be in the conditioning pieces. The weight will be heavier for the hard charger track, in the conditioning part of it. So anyways, let's get on with these weekly briefs. I'll cover the Patrol Ready track. Just understand that it might be scaled a little bit up in the hard charger track, and it may be scaled a little bit down in the on-ramp track. But for these briefs, we'll go through the Patrol Ready 1. 1 meaning it's the first cycle of Patrol Ready 1. All right, first day. I thought it only appropriate to start this cycle off with heavy bench press. So we did the Street Monster cycle. When I first started as head coach of EFT, came out hot with a conjugate meets EFT, and that was, people loved that. We're bringing the conjugate style of training back, and what that's gonna look like is we're gonna build to the heavy loads. So you're gonna find your 3 rep max, 2 rep max, 1 rep max throughout this cycle. First day of the cycle, we're doing a 3 rep max bench press. 3 rep max, so you take as many sets as you need. It's prescribed in the app, it's 5 sets of 3. That's how I have to pick a number of sets. But in the app, you can add sets, you can reduce sets. Do as many sets as you need to build up to your 3 rep max. It could be 10, it could be 2. Just build up to your 3 rep max, make sure you record that 3 rep max. Now, following that, we're gonna do a test of bodyweight pull-ups. So we're gonna do a progression throughout the cycle of pull-ups, but day 1, we're gonna test our strict bodyweight pull-ups. 1 set, maybe if you have a lat pull-down machine or you have bands, maybe do some warm-up pull-downs, and then get into 1 set, max rep pull-ups, no time limit. For the circuit, it's gonna be 60 ground to overhead. However you get the barbell from the ground to over your head, you get it, you do a muscle snatch, you do a clean and jerk, clean and press, however you want to do it. 60 ground overhead, 115 pounds or 75 pounds. That's day 1. Pretty simple. Day 2, now, so throughout the cycle, day 1, Mondays are gonna be your upper body strength days. Day 2 is gonna be your lower body strength days, which is reversed from how I typically programmed it. I've always liked doing heavy lower bodies on Monday, because everyone knows Monday's International Bench Day, so all the benches are taken. So I've always liked doing legs on Mondays, but for this cycle, we're gonna switch around. Tuesday's gonna be heavy back squats. We're gonna build to a 2 rep max. Again, take as many sets as you need to do that. Then we get into some accessory work. RDLs, supersetted with single leg calf raises. We're gonna do 2 sets of 15. We're gonna keep it at 2 sets because of the reps are higher at that 15. If you're training to or near failure, like within 3 reps of failure, 15 reps it's fatiguing. It's very fatiguing if you're training hard enough. And we still, on this day, have a conditioning piece to get to. So it's just a quick touch on the RDLs, hit the hamstrings and the glutes, and then the calves. On the calf raises, if you're on limited equipment, if you're in a garage gym, set up a thicker plate or 2 plates, or if you have a step to step on, just make sure you get a big stretch at the bottom. You want to pause at the bottom. You don't want to bounce out of that. Pause at the bottom and full extension at the top, or full dorsiflexion of your foot at the top, or excuse me, plantar flexion of your foot at the top. So you're getting full contraction and full stretch at the bottom, controlling it throughout. A lot of people like to bounce their calf raises. And you can load that as needed too, the calf raises. I can get away with body weight with 15 reps on calf raises. But if you want to set up a band or a dumbbell or some kind of weight, sandbag on the shoulder, you can do that. Just record the weight. All right, for the conditioning on this Tuesday, in 4 minutes, you're gonna run 400 meters. So it's a quarter mile. The substitute for that being a 500 meter row. You run a quarter mile, 400 meters, and then with any time you have left, you're gonna do max rep thrusters at 95 pounds or 65 pounds, with the scoring of the workout being your total number of thrusters completed. Thrusters are a challenging movement, no doubt. If you can't do thrusters, whether it's mobility issues or you're just not there yet, you can sub those with back squats and push presses. So for every thruster, do a back squat and a push press, or you can put some plates under your heels, elevate your heels. That'll take out some of the ankle mobility limitations or issues, and try them that way. And a third way to do it is if you can't do thrusters, even with your heels elevated, you can do a front squat and a push press for every thruster. So if you do one front squat, 1 push press, that's 1 point towards your score for the workout, for the leaderboard. All right. I think I explained that in the exercise video too. All right. Now, it being conjugate, we got a couple strength days, then we're going to have a power day. Thursdays are going to be our power day. For this first Thursday, you're going to build to a 1 rep max power clean. As I was. Build to a moderate heavy power clean. So build up to a weight that's challenging but doable. Something, it's heavy, it's not your max, but it's heavy, and you're gonna do 5 sets of 1 every minute on the minute. So we're not building to a heavy 1 rep max on power clean. I saw the ones and to what we were talking about, the strength training. We're gonna do every minute on the minute for the power training throughout this cycle at a moderate to heavy weight, wherever that is. That's gonna meet you where you're at that day based on your training status and recovery status. So start a clock at 0, you do 1 rep after you've built up to this weight, right? You take the time to build up to this heavy weight, this moderate to heavy weight, and then you start a clock. On 0, you do 1. On the 1 minute mark, you do 1. On the 2 minute mark, you do 1, so on and so forth till you've done 5. So that's the lower body power movement. And then we're gonna do the same thing, but with push press for an upper body power movement. Not that either of these isolate upper and lower body, but just more emphasis towards that. So after the power cleans, we're gonna do push press, 5 times 1 at a moderate to heavy weight every minute on the minute. Same thing. And then we finish, before our cool down, we finish with a circuit, 3 rounds for time, 400 meter run, subbing 500 meter row, 12 deadlifts at your body weight. So the barbell weight, so with the barbell and the weights on it combined, it's gotta be your body weight. Now, with any of these strength stuff, with any of the prescribed loading in any of the circuits on any day, you need to adjust those to your ability level. Don't do something just because we write it and it's way too heavy, or on the reverse side, way too light. You can scale up, you can scale down, make it appropriate for you. With that, 12 deadlifts at your body weight. For me, that's a 200-pound deadlift. I'm not gonna personally go and just do a 200-pound deadlift. I'm gonna do some reps at 135, maybe a couple at 185, and then I'll get to my body weight. So my point being, build up to your weight. 400 meter run, 12 deadlifts at your body weight, 21 box platform, or use what you have. We would like to prescribe something with the box jumps for this workout, 20 inches. You're gonna do that 3 rounds, 4 times. And we go into our cool down. Flex Friday, it's gonna be this first week, it's gonna be a pretty standard undulating would be the fancy term, undulating progression. The weights will drop from week to week, and then they'll kind of cycle back up and then drop back down. As we progress through the cycle with the Flex Friday, make sure that you are building up in weight. So we're doing sets of 15 this first week. Next week will be sets of 12. Make sure the weight goes up from last time. A heavier load as the reps go down. And then to get into it, we'll get into it once those weeks come around. Next time 15s come back around, or next time 12s come back around, if you've done a week of 12s will come back around again, try to beat yourself the last time you did 12s. It's that progressive overload that we want. With the tactical bodybuilding, you'll see, so this first week will be a set of exercises, and then week 2 will be a set of exercises. The week 1 exercises will be back again on week 3 at sets of 12. So that's how that'll run throughout the cycle. And then For our Tactical Saturday, I'm putting agility and the speed work back on Saturdays to start it off. Make sure you're warming up because we give you a run warm up, but don't just 400 meters. The run progressions I've done through the EFT programming has been a progression from many cycles ago. We are now up to 400 meter efforts. And this first one's going to be 2 sets of 400 meter efforts. That being said, 400 meters is getting kind of long, but still maybe you want to do some build-up sprints to get to the intensity that you want to get to instead of just getting right into it, even after the circuit, the big Tac Saturday circuit, TacSat circuit. 5 rounds, each round for time, 20 pull-ups, 30 push-ups, 40 sit-ups, 50 air squats. You'll time each round. 5 rounds, 3 minutes rest in between rounds. The goal, the idea, the most optimal way would be that all your rounds are about the same time, roughly. What we don't want is that you burn it down the first round and then you got nothing left in the tank and you're barely hanging on in that last round. We want it to be pretty steady. We want you barely hanging on at the end to maintain the pace you had in that first round. We don't want you, just for example, taking 15 minutes to do the first round, taking like 2 minutes to do the first round and then you're taking 15 minutes to do the last round. We want them all to be consistent, although at the end you're probably hanging on for dear life. The tactical skill integration is going to be donning and doffing a tourniquet, different limb each round. So in that 3 minutes rest period, put on a tourniquet, take it off. You can stage it. You can kind of tangle it up if you want. You never know the next tourniquet you have to grab, how it's staged, especially if you're grabbing off somebody else, right? So don and doff tourniquet. The thing you want to implement much more, you're going to see tourniquet work a lot. Can you practice your tourniquet too often, honestly? So I think this cycle, I put it in more than I have in prior cycles. And it's easy. It's something you can do in a public gym, and people might give you some odd looks, but when we prescribe like fine motor skill work with like taking apart your firearm, putting it back together, and then there's the sketchiness of I'm not in your garage making sure you're unloading it and keeping your ammo away out of the training site. So I've always been kind of sketchy about putting that stuff, the firearm work in here. We'll still have different versions. We're not going to totally eradicate all firearm work, but it'll be more like inert stuff. Anyways, you'll see more tourniquet work this cycle. This is your Tac Saturday, 5 rounds of the calisthenics, 3 minutes rest in between, don and doff tourniquet in those 3 minutes. Should take you no more than 30 seconds to put a tourniquet on, maybe a little longer to stage it back up. Good first week of training, I think. I'm looking forward to it. If you have any questions, get with us in the Train Heroic chat. If you're new to EFT, we have a number of coaches, myself, Coach Hannah, Coach Jack, Madam Director Kelly Rongo's our boss. That's it for the first week of the Patrol Ready cycle. I hope you guys enjoy having the option to kind of scale up and scale down with the different tracks. I think it's going to better serve law enforcement all over the world to have multiple options. Good week of training ahead. Let's go get it.